Hello friends, and welcome to April's reading wrap-up. Let's jump right into it. It is April. I am inside, as is almost everybody that I know. Staying in, staying safe. Today is the 6th. I finished 2 books that I wanted to talk to you about. I have attempted to read a couple of other ones, just haven't really connected with them. Also, elephant in the room, because nobody is seeing me, I am not doing my roots, so your girl is gray. But it's all right. It is what it is. So the first book that I finished in the month of April was one that I started last month and just didn't finish, and that is The Child Thief by Bram. This one was gifted to me very, very generously by Chelsea from Chelsea Palmer, and I did enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. It is dark. There are a ton of trigger warnings. If you want to know the full list of trigger warnings, I have as many as I could remember on my Goodreads review, which if I will remember, I will link down below. I never remember, but my Goodreads is linked down below, so you can go from there and find my review for this. It is dark. It starts very dark. It ends very dark. It is a reimagining instead of a retelling of Peter Pan and the Lost Boys and Hook and everything, but it missed the mark a little bit for me because it had such religious overleanings, and then there was like backstories in certain characters I just didn't care to follow. Other ones I did really enjoy, but I found myself not caring about like all of the different storylines, and there's a lot. Like it's an almost 500-page book. There's a lot going on in here. The illustrations are stunning. I will keep the book on my shelves because the book itself is gorgeous. The illustrations are phenomenal, and I didn't dislike it. It was a 3-star read. Maybe like 3.5, but definitely not a 4. I just felt like it was a lot longer than it needed to be, and I slogged through a good portion of that, which could also just be like my mental health. I don't think that it's necessarily just the book. It's also just kind of reading in general has been a little slow for me. I say that, but then I read this thing in like a day and a half. If I had not been working and I didn't have like other things to take my time up, I probably would have finished this in a day, no problem. This is Libbysana by Romina Garber. This one is a magical realism Latinx story about a girl who's been hiding away for her entire life because her father's people might come after her. She's a little bit of an unheard of mix of species. This is an urban fantasy-ish kind of a situation where we have the human world and another world, very like Harry Potter leaning. Centers around werewolves and witches are always girls, werewolves are always boys. And there's a lot of societal things that are discussed in this. It also really heavily discusses deportation, illegal immigrants, the kind of stress and anxiety that causes for people, families being torn apart. It is very good. I gave it 4 stars. I don't believe this is a standalone. I know that there's more in this series. I don't know if it's a 2, 3, I don't know how long, but I will continue. I actually really, really enjoyed this. I'll have already done the interview panel with Romina Garber, as well as a ton of other amazing YA fantasy and sci-fi authors. So if you haven't seen that, I will link that in a card up above and down below for sure, because it hasn't happened yet, but I am certain it was amazing. I am currently reading The Accident Season by Moira Foley Doyle. I started this last night, and I got a good chunk of the way in, so I'll probably finish that at some point today. I tried to start reading Little Universes by Heather Demetrios, and I kind of put it down. I don't know how far into this one, 44 pages in. I don't know if I'm going to put it down forever, but I'm struggling to get into the different characters. I'm not really vibing with them right now. So we shall see, won't we? I will keep you posted as I read throughout the month, but those are the 2 books that I finished so far. Really, really happy with them. A 4-star book and a 3-star book, but like both really enjoyable reads. So we're starting off a lot better in April than we did in March. March was a little bit rough for me reading-wise. Like I feel like I read a lot of things, but I didn't feel like I had. This month I feel like I'm starting a little bit better. We'll see. All right, I'll touch base with you guys soon. Bye. To update you, because I finished a book. I finished The Accident Season by Moira Foley Doyle. I blew through this in like a day and a half. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I want to say I've maybe 4-starred everything of hers except for Spellbook of the Lost and Found. I definitely 5-starred that one. There's this wonderful thing that Moira does where she weaves fantasy into contemporary so well and gives you these little like fabulous twists or speculative twists to everything. You know it's not going to be like a straightforward contemporary. You know there's going to be something paranormal-y, but then there's also usually this psychological aspect to it. Her stories usually always feature women who have been hurt by men or oppressed by men, in general victimized, queer or very open sexually characters, but always some trauma. And there's definitely trigger warnings in this for a lot of things. I will put them in my Goodreads review because I feel like they're not spoilery, but I kind of don't want to dive into them here just because, like maybe a little bit spoilery, just so I'm gonna put them in my Goodreads review, which you guys can check out. My Goodreads is linked down below all the time. But another stunningly written book. It just really does have beautiful writing in it. Okay, friends, I apologize. Somebody is vacuuming somewhere near me, but I have a very short break between my FaceTime nannying and I need to film my update. So I wanted to update you because I read 2 books in 2 days and they were both thrillers. I'm telling you, it's what I'm going with right now and it's super working for me. So first up, I read Alice Feeney's I Know Who You Are. This one is one that I got from Book Outlet. I literally just got it. This one is a ride, and with a lot of thrillers, I feel like you don't need to know too much, and I don't want to say too much, but this one is about a woman who, she has a career as an actress, and it's a little bit on the fritz. Well, not on the fritz, but she feels like she's always at risk of being dropped by her agent or not having a career anymore. She has a husband, and there's a lot of problematic stuff going on with her husband, but then at the beginning of the novel, her husband is just gone. There's a bouquet of flowers that says he's sorry, and his keys are there, his shoes are there, his wallet is there, his watch is there, all of his stuff is there, and he is just gone. And then the police investigation starts, and it turns out that she looks like a key suspect. There's a lot of things adding up to the fact that it looks like she might be the one that killed her husband. There's just some sketchy stuff in her past. We do follow like a 1988 and a 2017 timeline. So we get her as a child and then her as an adult. Her childhood was very traumatic. I have a whole bunch of content warnings on my Goodreads, but essentially there are content warnings in this for domestic abuse, kidnapping, child abuse, child molestation, rape, animal abuse, death of an animal, psychological abuse, murder, a lot of violence. For me, this gave me the perfect amount of like, I think I know what's happening, but maybe I don't, and then keeping me guessing the whole time. I really enjoyed it. So, because I really enjoyed this book, I went directly into my ARC, which does not come out until July, I want to say. Yeah, July 28th. So you got a while for this, but this is Alice Feeney's His and Hers. This is another one of her novels. This one follows a BBC news anchor. Murder, lots of murder, graphic body horror kind of stuff in here, content warnings for suicide, death of a child, again, like extortion and blackmail and dark stuff. It was really good. I will say, again, this one kept you guessing. It kept like the twists and turns coming. However, unlike the last one, I guessed the ending, like I guessed the killer twist, like I got that pretty early on. I just didn't love the way this one wrapped up quite as much as this one, which is weird because the way this one wraps up is super fucked up, but I liked it. It's weird to say. If you've read it, you'll get it. I didn't like it, but I liked it. And then I'm probably giving this one like a 3.5, but I gave it a 3 on July 28th. It's going to be a little while. I still recommend it if you're into thrillers. I do think it'll keep you guessing. These weren't formulaic in the sense that they were identical, but she definitely has a very specific way of writing. She structures her chapters really smart. They're just really short and really gripping and really engaging. And like I said, I read each of these in a day. I had been like 50 pages into His and Hers, and then I finished the rest of it in a day because I couldn't put it down. I finished Rewind by Catherine Ryan Howard, and I tabbed it, I annotated it. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Is it an absolutely, like, perfect thriller? Maybe for me, yeah. I buddy read this with Amber. We like sat in hangouts and read it together so we could theorize and discuss the book in real time. This is one that I really, really liked. Why? Because you were able to like form theories throughout the reading of the book. You were able to kind of see how the story was weaving together. You could kind of maybe guess who the killer was, but then maybe it wasn't, but then maybe it is. It was also a really, really fun writing format. This is told, we know at the beginning of this that somebody is murdered in a secret camera at a hotel or like an Airbnb. And then from there you play, you pause, you rewind, you fast forward, and you get like the present, the past, the future, and you see kind of how it's all coming together. It was just a really fun way to structure the story that's centered around a video using these chapter headings. Just a really cool concept. Really well executed. Definitely some content warnings for this, so check out my Goodreads review. It is up. But for me, it just really, really worked to the point where even though I've been trying to keep my ordering to like essential items, I did order her first 2 books. This is her most recent book, and she has 2 before this. And this is one that I'm kind of, I don't know, this has been sitting on my shelves since BEA. And I'm kind of like kicking myself for letting it sit and wait, but at the same time I wasn't in a thriller mood before, so it probably needed to sit and wait, but I'm so glad I got to this. I really, really enjoyed it. I have started or will be starting this dark game, which is about an author who invites 3 other writers slash authors to his estate to do like a masterclass, but then like things aren't what they seem, so I'm going to jump into that next, but that's it for my reading update for right now. If you hear whirring in the background, it's legitimately just the computer that I use to edit my videos on. It's my old Mac, and it struggles to survive. So, I'm sorry about that, but I wanted to update you guys on some more of my reading for April. I read The Dark Game by Jonathan Janz. This one is one that I got signed when I went to BEA, and it was a random one. It was already out. This is from Flame Tree Press, which is a London and New York press. I believe they're there for 6 weeks, and at the end of the 6 weeks, one of them is going to win $3 million, as well as letters of recommendation from him and contacts in the publishing world, essentially establishing a guaranteed career. And it's happened once before. The person that won last time was wildly successful, and I think that was 50 years ago or something, and they're all very much looking forward to going back again. Was it 50 years? I don't really even know. Anyway, they go, it's in the middle of nowhere, it's super, super creepy, and they realize that what they're there to do may not be the writing that they anticipated, and hijinks and shit ensues. This is truly weird. I have so many tabs in this at the beginning, and I had to eventually just stop tabbing all the problematic, ridiculous stuff that I saw in this. I am rating this 2 stars. I'm rating it 2 stars because I did read to the end just to figure out what in the holy hell was happening, even though you have a pretty clear idea from the midway point exactly what's going on in this house. And from a writer's standpoint, it's interesting, the power of our words, etc., what we bring into the world with our craft. It ends up being the weirdest freaking book, not necessarily in a good way. I think the concept was really cool. What the author did with like the concept of the book, which I will not spoil, was really neat. The characters are deeply unlikable. I think they're supposed to be deeply unlikable, but they're also incredibly problematic, and the author is writing women in a way that is really gross and objectifying. The way that he writes his male characters is also not fantastic. The one kind of sex scene in this is written from a man. Like, it's just not good. And I shouldn't say written by a man, because like you read Jay Kristoff's like sex scenes and you're like, that man can get down. You read this and you're like, oh, his poor wife. In terms of content warnings, this has legitimately everything. We have a boy at 15 having sex with a girl who's 17, but she has learning disabilities and other things that cause her to be nearly nonverbal, and that it's specified that though she's 17, she has the mental capacity of a 4-year-old and understanding of a 4-year-old. So that's fucking gross. Then, we have like pedophilia and spying on children that are 6 years old, and incest, and rape, a lot of, gosh, so much rape, murder, death of a sibling, death of a parent, a lot of like gory, graphic, murdery scenes, a lot of psychological torture, detail about domestic abuse and abuse by a husband and forced abortions, the violent beating of a woman and stomping on her stomach until she aborts a child at a point in the pregnancy where she has to then deliver a stillborn baby. It's the worst. And the thing is, there's no real reason for all of this like graphic, gratuitous disgustingness. But I kept thinking like, it's a horror. Maybe at the end of this all, there's a reason for it. You come to find out that these 10 authors all have these really gruesome pasts and they've all done horrible things. So you start to think like maybe it's some hellscape and they're all being punished and you're going through all these different theories. And I kept reading till the end because I wanted to truly know what the hell was going on. But it's a lot of gratuitous objectifying women and it's just really disgusting. And I read it to the end again because the premise was really interesting, but like the execution and the way this was written was disgusting. And within this book I found a sentence that has 14 commas. It was a 14 comma sentence in the middle of a sex scene that made this sex scene read so like jerky and awkward, and it was already jerky and awkward because this dude does not write sex well, and it was so awful. Well, I'm glad I finally got to it. It's signed and personalized to me. And I don't want it. I don't want it anymore. That was a 2-star read, and it's a bummer because a lot of the books that I read just prior to that were like 4 and 5 stars that I really enjoyed. I had 2 reading vlogs this month that are secret, 3 reading vlogs this month that I haven't talked about. And the ratings for that have really varied. One was like not great, one was okay, and the other one was like actually really good. So I just finished on the really good secret vlog. This one made me like I got so angry at so many parts of that book. Anyway, it's done. It's over. I'm on to the next book. We're going to see how that one goes. Hello, and this is the end of my April reading wrap up. Today is the last day of April. It is the 30th, and I finished The Liar's Girl by Catherine Ryan Howard last night. This one came into me from Thrift Books, I believe, and I sanitized the heck out of it, and then I started reading it immediately because I was really into her Rewind, and I wanted to see how her other works did. So this is her second book. I do have her first book, and that is on my May TBR, which you've probably already seen. So this one had similar leanings towards Rewind in the fact that she had very interesting chapter structure. I like the way that she structures her books. I love the way that she does her characters. And I do like the way that she makes the plot followable. Like, nothing's gonna happen where you're, like, wildly, wickedly surprised. She's not gonna make the red herrings. The red herrings are well done, but the killer's not gonna come out and you're gonna be like, oh my god, it was them. Like, she's gonna let you figure it out, but then she's still gonna throw little, like, other things in too, which I appreciate. I really like that in a thriller writer. I really liked this one. I will say that for Rewind, as well as this one, the ending is quick and the killer catching is convenient. You're able to kind of like follow and be like, I have a theory, I think it's this, I think that's who that was, I think that's who this is. And it's like exciting to be able to go through it and like pick up these little things. It was not the 5-star that I gave Rewind, and I don't even think Rewind was like a full 5 stars. I just really enjoyed the reading process, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it 4 stars. It's probably a 3.5, like a high 3.5, and I just went 4 because like enjoyment wise, craft wise, I do like the way that she writes thrillers. I am excited to see how she does with her first book, and then she has a new one coming out in August that I'm pretty stoked on as well. So that's everything for April's reading. I have my spreadsheet in front of me, so we're just going to take a look at that really quick. 17 books in April for 5,379 pages. Again, that is not including a reading vlog, mainly my Kindle Unlimited reading vlog. None of that is counted in this. As far as like word count goes, that's not included. I also had another secret TBR of reading that will be coming out soon, and I only counted 2, maybe 3 of those on this in terms of like page count. Only 2. I probably could have counted 3, but it's fine. I'm gonna just really quick run down what they were. So The Child Thief was the first thing I read. I gave that 3 stars. It wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, but it was a really cool premise, really cool book. Artwork was stunning. I am keeping it. And then I had Libbysana, which was an arc, and I gave that 4 stars. Really enjoyed that one. That was a YA fantasy. Read The Accident Season by Moira Foley Doyle. Gave that 4 stars. I love her writing. It's so magical. The Butterfly Garden, I forget who that's by. I gave it 4 stars. It was a thriller, and it was twisted as shit. I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. I gave 4 stars. His and Hers by Alice Feeney. I gave 3 stars. Take Me With You, YA reading vlog, 2 stars. The Glare, I forget who that's by, 2 stars. They Wish They Were Us, DNF. The Loop, 3 stars. Then I read Rewind by Catherine Ryan Howard, gave that 5 stars. Then we get into some secret reading vlog books and ratings, so I'm not going to get into those right now. Desperate Measures was the Jasmine Jafar erotica that Chelsea's been raving about. I gave that 4 stars. I liked it. The Dark Game by Jonathan Jantz, I gave all of 2 stars. Then Box by Christina Dalcher, I gave 3 stars. Really did enjoy that one, but it wasn't my favorite because it has almost like a dystopian feel to it, where it's very feminist based, like women's movement based, and it's scary. It's like Handmaid's Tale meets Jesus. It's a lot, and it's not a premise I love. I don't know if it's just too real or something, but like it's a little too much for me, but I did like the writing. And then The Liar's Girl, again, Catherine Ryan Howard, and I gave that 4 stars. So all in all, outside of that reading vlog, I had a lot of like 4 or 5 star books. I will say that this month of reading has brought my totals for thrillers to 21 thrillers for the year so far that I've read, which far outnumbers my contemporary at 15, my fantasies at 12, my sci-fis at 5, fabulism books at 1, graphic novels I had 5, nonfiction 3, those are my writing books, and 4 romance / erotica. Thrillers are like crushing it, and I see no signs of stopping. So that is everything for my April reading vlog. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing what I've been reading. I hope that you are interested in all the thrillers that I'm getting to. I'm trying to knock out arcs and include those as much as possible. The problem is that I'm reading through all of the arcs that I have for thrillers. I've kind of already done that, and now I'm at a place where all of my arcs are contemporary and contemporary romance, and they're just not what I want to be reading. So I'm like in this middle ground of like, oh crap, what do? I want to be reading my arcs, but I also don't want to force books that I don't want to read right now. So anyway, that has been my month of reading. If you did enjoy this video, please do give me a big thumbs up. I read for my own enjoyment, but I love sharing my thoughts with you. Go ahead and click subscribe, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye guys.